You, just 1 minute, please.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the school committee meeting Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. In front of you, you have an agenda. May I have an approval?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We actually got to see sunshine today, which was nice. Let's hope it lasts. Are you wondering if there was actually sunshine? There was today. Okay, we'll open to public comment. Not seeing any public comment, we'll move forward with the superintendent's report, please.
So, good evening, everyone. First of all, last night's Nantucket Golf Club scholarship ceremony was spectacular. It was such an exciting night. 26 outstanding young men and women were celebrated as the 2024 Nantucket Scholars. 15 of those 26 were identified as Nantucket Scholars headed to the professional workforce, and each of them were recognized by the selection committee and will be provided with varying scholarship awards in the coming weeks. The remaining 11 students were each celebrated for their scholastic achievement, their community service, and overall excellence as upstanding citizens of Nantucket High School and the Nantucket community at large. A very special congratulations goes out to Henry Crosby, Archie Ferguson, and Chloe Marrero, who were selected as winners of the full tuition scholarship. We are incredibly proud of these three, as well as all of our Nantucket scholars this year. This is such a testament to how talented and special our students are in every aspect of their lives. Speaking of Nantucket High School seniors, I'd like to invite Principal Mandy Bassel to the podium to share all the exciting end-of-year activities in place for seniors between now and graduation.
Yes, year in, not year round.
Yes, correct.
That would be way more than we could handle. Thank you, Dr. Hallett and school committee for inviting me to share our exciting events for the end of the school year. It's certainly an exciting time for all of our students, but especially for our seniors. It's also very much anxiety-ridden and with trepidation as our seniors decide to make that walk across the stage and head into the next part of their journey in life. So on the handout that you have, it's showing our senior meeting on May 30th. This will be the second in preparation for graduation and our year-end events. The one, and you may be interested in this, and if you're able to join us at 1:30, actually 1:40 on the 30th in the auditorium, we will be having a presentation for all of our seniors about Eunice Ross and the honorary diploma that she'll be receiving. That's not really on here. It's kind of a secret for the seniors, so. We will be talking about graduation and senior ball at the beginning of the meeting, and then at 1:40 we have some presentations about Eunice Ross and what her significance to our history and why she'll be receiving an honorary diploma at graduation. Senior ball is May 31st at the Nantucket Yacht Club, annual tradition. It is 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It's a little bit early this year in comparison to previous years, but that was what the Yacht Club had available. Senior breakfast is June 7th. This is also the last full day of classes for our seniors. We started a tradition a couple of years ago that the seniors stay for the whole day. They go out to the Hall of the Well right at the end of the day, and they do a countdown to their final seconds, minutes, and they count down to 10. It's pretty amazing to see all of them in the Hall of the Well. So that'll be on the 7th. Senior awards will be June 11th in the auditorium at 6 o'clock. Graduation rehearsals are Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We start at 8:30 in the morning. Our first rehearsal is in the auditorium, and then we'll do Thursday and Friday rehearsals on the football field. On Friday, the 14th, we'll also do a walkthrough of the other schools. The younger grades usually like to see the seniors come through, and the seniors look forward to it as well. All of our students will receive their tickets and their records on June the 12th. Baccalaureate is June 13th. It's at the Unitarian Church on Orange Street this year, and graduation will be June 14th. Yes, that is Friday evening at 6 o'clock in the evening. We had to change the graduation last year to 6 o'clock, and over half of the class were like, can we do that next year, because we want to do it on Friday night too. So we're going to give it a shot and see how it goes, weather permitting. The rain date will be June 15th, but we don't like to talk about rain when it comes to graduation. So those are our notes. I'm sure there will be a car parade. We do not plan that. It's usually planned with the class officers and parents, so we defer to them. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those for you.
Thank you. Tim?
No.
Esmeralda?
No questions.
I just have one. Will all the clergy that have been at baccalaureate in the past also be attending?
I believe so. They usually do come. They actually, my understanding is that they're the ones that actually decide which church it will be held. So they do work together on that.
Thank you.
And is your thought that the parade would be Friday evening?
I think it'll be Saturday.
Saturday.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think the town will want them to go through Friday night. Just a thought.
Yeah.
Again, I don't plan that.
Right.
So I
Right.
can't really say 100% for sure.
Right. Okay. And it'd be interesting to see how Friday evening goes. I'm interested that the students
Yeah.
asked for that.
They actually asked that it be later in the evening. They wanted it to be right at sunset, and I'm like, oh, that might be a little bit too late. So we believe we'll start at 6. We'll be done before 7:30 easily, probably about 7:15, and it'll still be plenty daylight for pictures and such after graduation.
Great. Can you say who the speaker is? Or?
I'm not going to yet. No, I knew you were going to ask. I just confirmed it yesterday, so
Okay.
we're going to hold off on
You
that
can't
announcement
slide
just
me a
yet.
note?
I think everyone will be interested, and I have to give credit to Joan Harris, the class president. She is the one who figured out who that's going to be and made the contact, and she did all the work. So I'm
That's
excited
wonderful.
about it. I think everybody will be. It's pretty
That's
interesting.
terrific.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Mandy.
And you're invited to graduation. We'll make sure you get an invitation.
Thanks. I'm free. Great.
Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. So just a few additional updates. Our intermediate middle school students are wrapping up their math MCAS testing this week. Grades 5 and 8 will begin gearing up for science MCAS that's happening in the coming weeks. Our 10th graders completed the first day of 2 days of math MCAS with over 160 students testing. So really a delayed start is a necessity when you're managing that many students to try and organize with proctors and rooms and not having the distractions of class bells and different passing issues. It's the right environment for them to take the test. We are expecting to test approximately 180 students for the science MCAS in 2 weeks, so there will be another delayed start for those 2 days. Delayed start means that students who are not testing grades 9, 11, and 12, or for the science, because science sometimes has mixed grades, anyone who's just not testing will arrive at about 10:30, so for class. I wanted to mention a little bit about e-bikes. This is more for our viewing public. As the weather starts to get better and the sun is shining, we know that students are on their bikes more and more. And I have seen quite a few students who, maybe with the joy of spring fever, are enjoying their electric bikes on campus. It is a reminder to all parents of children with e-bikes that they are not to be ridden at all on our campus. Students must register their e-bikes with their school front office, and they are permitted to walk their bikes while on campus until they reach the road. And by law, anyone under the age of 16 is expected to wear a helmet. So if you have a child, or you know a child, or you see a child riding their bike on campus, please remind them that they need to be walking their bikes and they need to have their bikes registered and they should be wearing a helmet. So, we do still have we'll be planning in place a class, which we talked about, for bike safety for our middle and high school students. I'm working with Patsy on that, and we'll share a little bit later
That's
when we
fabulous.
are able to get that in place.
Thank
So,
you.
Sure. Lots of concerts and performances that have been happening and are about to happen this week and next. The CPS Drama Club presented Seussical the Musical Junior this past weekend. It was spectacular. It was really great. Lots of fun. So many talented middle schoolers and such a joyous event. Such fun. It brought me back to being an elementary school student and all of the stories that I read and everything was really nice. Tomorrow night is the All-Town Band and Orchestra Concert featuring musicians from NIS, CPS, and NHS. So that will be a large event. I believe that they take up all of the stage, if not every corner of the stage in the extending auditorium there. So that should be a sight to see. Make sure you get there early. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty crowded. On Thursday, the high school combined choir will perform its choral masterwork at the Congregational Church at 6 p.m. And I apologize, but I actually do not know. There we go. Mandy Vassell, what is the choir? Thank you. I asked what the actual piece was, and it is Considering Matthew Shepard, a choral suite by Craig Hilla Johnson. So that is the masterwork that will be performed on Thursday.
Dr. Hallett, through the chair, may I just share one thing about
Please.
it? So what I understand about the masterwork is that they chose it because it is a healing piece. And so that is, the students are really interested because they have, they've become very invested in it. So
That's
I think
great.
it's going to be pretty phenomenal.
That's great.
If I may, through the chair, can you just repeat the date and time? and
Absolutely.
Location.
The date is Thursday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. at the Congregational Church
Thank you.
on Center Street. And the name of the piece again is Matthew Shepard, a choral suite by Craig Hella Johnson. The thing about the masterwork, if those of you who have not seen it or have not been present in any of its preparation, it's pretty significant. It's a more challenging piece of music, and it does require a lot of practice and skill. So, hats off to Mrs. McGeever and the students for putting this together. It is definitely pretty special. So, and I want to thank all of our Nantucket Public Schools music department and for their hard work in making these important performances happen. Just, in fact, one final thank you, and that is to the community school and the Nantucket Community Music Center for bringing the 5 talented professional musicians to our schools for the whole month of May. You have heard them play if you were at the golf club scholarship ceremony last night, because they were the entertainment, and they have just been such a wonderful addition to our classes and working with our students. And just in general, we're so lucky to have such great exposure for our students, and we look forward to more collaboration in the future. That's it.
Tim.
I'd like to mention our students participating down at the Dreamland. Do you want to say something about more?
Yes, if I may, through the
Of
chair.
course.
So on Thursday and Friday of this week, Dreamland brought in, it's called the Addiction Project, and we did the Buckeye and the third act of Long Day's Journey into Night. Not we, I should not say that, the company did. And so part of it, it's in fact applied theater that they use as a device to invite introspection and discussion around addiction and various kinds of abuse. And so we had a group of students. Our youngest is a 5th grader, and several high school students and several middle school students that participated, and they were the chorus in the Buckeye. And seeing my colleague out there, Sassy Nash. And so it was a very powerful program. Thank you, Tim. And there were also panelists. Deb Gately from our own Nantucket Public Schools served as one of the panelists. So it's programming that our Director of Creative Programming has wanted to bring for some time. So it was very powerful message, and it was very well received from what I hear. Beth was there on Friday. And Tim, were you there on both nights?
Of course I was there.
Of course you were there both nights. So thank you, and it's something that we hope to do again. And just one more little tag, this is part of our Theater Speaks initiative that was funded by the town of Nantucket. We received a grant, so along with this we brought in Jordan Toma at the middle school and Chris Hessen for the high school. So Chris Heron, sorry, I do that all the time. Thank you, Sassy. So anyway, it was very powerful, and so we hope to continue this, and hopefully we'll continue to receive funding. So, thank you.
When you say chorus, do you want to explain? Because
Yeah,
they weren't
sure.
singing.
They were not singing, so they were the Greek chorus, which is a device that's often used in ancient Greek theater. So they would speak chorally. They also spoke different lines. So they interacted with the professional actors. Deborah Winger was one of the actors, Moses Ingram, and then Deborah Winger's husband, Arliss. Just, can you say it, Sassy? I can't remember. Anyway, but that's part of what they do is they bring in professional actors of all stripes, and it's a staged reading, and then they had us supplement. Isaiah Williams, a graduate of Nantucket High School, played the piano too. So it was very gratifying to have our students involved, and they knocked it out of the park. The professional actors were really impressed with them, and Sassy and I have received a lot of positive feedback about that. So it was great.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about it.
Esmeralda, any questions for
No
Dr.
questions.
Hallett? Do you have any questions on Dr. Hallett's?
No, other than to add, if I may, through the chair, that Seussical was awesome. It was so much fun, and I'm so glad that I got to see it. So it was great.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our presentations and discussions. We have the guidance update to come. So I'd like to invite our guidance department to come on up. Nice round of applause, Mr. Horton. Thank you.
Lots going on. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Courtney Foster, and I am one of the school counselors at the high school, along with Julia Chumach. Chris Mimic is also in the office. He is just not here tonight. He was not feeling well, so he went home. I did provide a sheet with some notes, just with some bullet points about our main kind of components of what went on throughout the year, along with some statistics of our seniors that are graduating and what they're doing afterward. I will go briefly over it, we just kind of wanted to focus on more so the changes that we've done this year to get more one-on-one eyes on the students in the classroom and such like that. So we have 124 seniors this year, and 70% of that, which translates to 87 students, have applied to colleges. The other 37 students have chosen to join the workforce or go on to some other kind of life activity after that. This year we do not have any students that are planning to join any type of military branches this year. And then just to kind of go through some more statistics, because we love numbers, right, and percentages. 33% of the seniors that are going to college, so out of that 87 students, 33% are going to a four-year in-state college. 54% are going to a four-year out-of-state college. 7.9% are attending a two-year in-state college. 1.6% of the seniors are going to a two-year out-of-state college. And then 3.2% are going to an other type of university or college that might be a post-secondary, like
Like a boarding
a
school
different
or
kind of option, a
something?
boarding school. I'm more so thinking of like an athletic, like a fifth-year senior type of program. Post-grad, thank you, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks, Mandy. And together with the wellness department this year, we wanted a lot more face time with our freshmen. So we worked together with the wellness department to push into their wellness class three times actually. And so we taught them different lessons about social media safety, making better choices, goal setting, and different types of communication. So along with our freshman seminars, we were able to see our freshman classes, each of our students one-on-one basically 4 times throughout the year, at least 4 times throughout the year. So that was fun to work with the wellness department and kind of see them from that angle. And then we do have our yearly grade level seminars that we go in every year, and each year we kind of change our lesson depending on any kind of feedback that we got from the previous years. And we make sure, especially with our juniors, we see them once more towards the fall, and then we push in again at the end of their junior year to provide them with a summer to-do list, which gives them all the tools and the instructions so that they, when they enter their senior year, they can really make sure to be on top of their schedule and stay on top of what they need to be doing. And then just kind of something else that was new over the last handful of years, we're continuing to work with Cape Cod Community College to offer a dual enrollment program where current juniors and seniors are able to take classes. For the most part, it is free through grant money provided through the 4Cs. But so for the most part, it is free of cost to any student who's taking it. And then they get their college credit after that. We've had several students who go off to college with like 4 credits already going into whatever college they're going to, and ultimately they've gotten those for free. So that is amazing. It either frees them up to have just more free time in their schedule when they go off to college, and or they can choose additional classes, not just like the basic entering 101 levels when they go off to school, which is amazing. This year we have 21 students taking a dual enrollment class. Through the Take Your Dreams Across the Sound program, which we work with NET, Nantucket Educational Trust, we are in sixth year, bringing students to sophomores to university. Every year we kind of choose a different university or college. It does have to be within a certain radius to make sure that we can get there and back in one day, because as much as we love our children, no one wants to be stuck off with 50 sophomores for the evening. So this year we took 50 students to Providence College on April 25th, which was a great opportunity. And then additionally, we've been working with Our House as well as through NET to provide more opportunities for seniors who have applied, and we went in the end of the year, so it was more so seniors that have been accepted at certain schools that had not had the opportunity to tour that campus yet. And then if there was room on the van that was going, we also opened it up to juniors who were interested in that college. So this year we were able to take the students to UMass Boston, Bridgewater State, UMass Amherst, and URI, which are 4 of, I'd say, like our top, 8, say, schools that a lot of our students are applying to. So that was a great opportunity to bring them to these college campuses, because unfortunately the reality is there are many of our seniors who are applying to schools who don't even step foot on a college campus until they maybe even attend in the fall, at least until they hear back and they know that they've gotten in. So that was a great opportunity to expose them to more college campuses. And then lastly, we have always gone in and pushed into our ESL courses to teach them and to give them more lessons that are catered toward their specific needs, because usually, as I mentioned before, we push into grade level courses, but a lot of times we miss some of our L students because their classes are just in different levels and they might not be in those classes that we're originally pushing into. So we've always gone in over the last several years at least to one of the L courses and teach one lesson. But this year we really wanted to make sure to again cater to their needs and wants and desires. So we gave them a pre-questionnaire at the end of our first push-in lesson, and then use that data to figure out what they still had questions about. And then we just recently went in and delivered the second lesson to answer a lot of their questions that they had. And a lot of these students, just because of their familial situation and where they're coming from, they do not think that college is within their reach, and they don't know how to apply, and they don't have the support to show them that. So Ms. Chumach actually here, She is an immigrant herself, and she had attended Cape Cod Community College on her way to pursue her bachelor's and then master's degree. So it was really kind of interesting to hear about her experiences, and she talked about her experiences with these students. But we made sure that every single one of them went on the Cape Cod Community website, showed them how easy it is to translate it to whatever language that they need, showed them the flexibility of the courses that they can go hybrid, full in-person, all online, and or take classes very part-time, so that we really just wanted to make sure that they understand that college is within reach for each and every one of them. And I don't want to say that's it, because we are very busy throughout the year, but that is the highlights, I'd say, of what we have done so far this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.
Of
Can you
course.
just wait for just a minute to
Of
see if we
course,
have
yes.
questions?
Yep.
Tim?
Having been close to a counselor,
Yes, you
I
have.
think you guys do a tremendous job. And I think last night and your
Yes.
work reaching out into the Yale community really is important, but congratulations. Every kid that was there last night owes a bit of it to you guys.
I taught them everything they know. Yes.
Esmeralda?
I do have a few questions.
Sure.
Any of your counselors bilingual?
Yes, Chris is.
Chris is, okay.
I am too.
And
Yes,
yes.
I should say
I
yes.
do speak
Sorry,
Russian,
I-
and
yes.
unfortunately, we don't have students who need help with Russian.
We had one, but she left.
Right,
We,
that's right.
yes, I'm sorry I
Yeah,
overlooked
that's right,
that.
no, that's okay.
Yes.
Another question. The out of your 124 seniors, do you have the data on the demographics on race? Who's not going to school? Who's going out?
I can certainly get that back to
Yeah,
you for
which-
sure. That's an easy enough.
Another
Yes,
question.
of course.
With the Cape Cod Community College dual enrollment, can any student apply regardless their status, as in immigration status?
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. So it's a great opportunity, and one of the whole reasons why we kind of started this whole program was specifically to show students who, you know, of the wide variety of demographics that we have, to show them that they can take a class and be successful in it. So absolutely, that's one of the populations that we were focusing on while opening this up to everyone. So yes, they can absolutely take it. Now, we work every year with different students who might not have their papers and might not be legal citizens, so unfortunately they do not always have access to monetary or financial aid if they do go to school. But it doesn't mean that they cannot go. So we do make sure that we are showing them all the opportunities.
Great.
There is an age limitation,
Okay.
so it's usually for juniors and seniors, but if we have a sophomore who's ready,
Yeah.
then we can add the
I'm an alumni at Cape Cod
Oh,
Community
amazing.
College, and
Yes.
it's a great school,
Oh,
and it's right
absolutely.
across the pond,
Yes.
so it's great.
We speak it up. We speak very highly of it in all of our presentations, no matter what level we're going in to speak to, because, you know, at the end of the day, college is extremely expensive,
Oh,
and
definitely.
you know, for anyone, no matter what, you know, how bright they are, or how dedicated, or if they know what they're studying, or they're not studying. But it's a great opportunity for them to get an associate's degree at a much reduced cost, and then they can
Definitely.
transfer to any four-year school after that and get the same bachelor's degree that you would get if you were there for all 4 years. So we talk about that a lot, actually.
We were happy to ask them to complete the survey for us because we knew what questions they have, because we always kind of presented the information that we thought would be helpful, but this year we decided to ask them what they need to know. And a lot of them ask about financial aid, meaning that they are thinking about colleges. It's maybe not right away. So when we put the second presentation together, it was more so keeping in mind that most of them will go to work. They actually eager to start earning money after they graduate, but they do have this hope and dream to eventually go to college. So our job this year was to introduce them what would be the first step for them to apply. we always tell them that we don't stop caring about them after they graduate from us. They are always welcome to reach out to us after, like in 1 year, and they do. We do meet with our former students and help them to go to college. And unfortunately, this information is not presented anywhere, but there are students who are coming back and reaching out to us after, like a few years later, after they work and get earn money, save money, and they're ready to, follow their dreams.
Thank you.
Laura.
I think this program is so important to go to a campus sight unseen. I think it's, setting some students up for a lot of disappointment. So I'm so glad we're doing this. I did have one question. Was there some discussion also, this is a great list of schools, about also visiting UNH, because it seems like that's sort of one of those schools that a lot of our students apply to?
Absolutely. And it comes up every year. Again, it's just that question of can we do it in a day?
In a day. Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part. And just, I think another thing is last year we took the students to Stonehill, which obviously is a private university. And we always kind of have that, it's a fine line to go between bringing them to a state university where would potentially be more historically affordable for all people, but then also bringing them to a campus, like Providence or Stonehill, which is historically a beautiful campus with different, style buildings and architecture. And again, it's like we just basically draw a circle around the ferry and go wherever we can make it in a day. But UNH is on our list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And of course, you'd be driving the speed limit, so
Of
what's. Yeah. Am I making
I drove
this?
Pauline to URI.
And I was watching. No. Am I making this up? Is the community college free if you're over 24? No.
I don't think so.
Oh, I must have been a dream. Okay.
Yes.
Are they working on that? Okay. Somewhere I thought I got that little glimpse. I will say, having had the opportunity to travel with all of you, Chris included, on the college trips, and also with the work I do at our house, having the opportunity to sit in with some students and their counselors, I have such an appreciation for all that you do, and I love watching the relationships that you have with your students, even if they're not on your caseload. And I love watching the students with you, and to say that your work is amazing is an understatement, and we're very lucky to have you both and Chris. So thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Martin, I don't know if you can follow that act, but
Mine is the dry, boring part of the presentation. So that's why they put me towards the beginning, so everybody's awake for the
we're
end.
still awake.
Good evening, Martin Angelov, Chief Financial Officer, Nantucket Public Schools. It's, my God, I present myself as if I'm talking at town meeting. Anyway. So as you see from the charts, the third quarter, we've expanded, as of the end of the third quarter, we're 2.5 million more in expenditures than we were last year. 70% of the budget has already been expanded, which is comparable to last year when I believe it was 68%. Payroll expenses, the increase there is 1.486 million. That's anticipated. Obviously, we have a new contract with the teachers union, and also we're in the process of negotiations with some other unions. So there's been also the market adjustment that happened for every employee throughout the district that came in. So that's normal, and payroll budget is at 59% expended, which is the same at this stage of the year as it was last year. The rest of the increases are mostly due to tuition. Out-of-district tuition expenses this year have increased by $743,000. As you know, OCD increased, OSD increased tuition rates at 14% last year, additional, I believe, 8% this year. So rates are growing from the schools of Ireland, and we have out of district tuitions in the ranges anywhere between $120,000 to the most expensive one being $330,000. So that's a major increase in our budget this year as compared to last year. Professional development as well, district-wide. We have a new math curriculum introduced in the district, so we've expended close to $100,000 in professional development related to that introduction of the math curriculum. And also we have increase in software hardware costs this year of $120,000. Now, the cyber attack that happened last year cost us substantial amount of money. A lot of it was covered by the town. There was an account that was opened by the finance department, and they covered the majority of it. We ended up paying for a switch which needed to be replaced, and it was deemed non-refundable. Basically, they said that it didn't fail because of the cyber attack. It was just obsolete and needed to be replaced. And we also ended up purchasing a new firewall. So also this year we expended $75,000 for a new backup rubric. Don't quote me on this. I'm not technologically that savvy, but it's basically an additional fail-safe backup for us, so that we don't have to experience what we went through last year, which was for me, myself, and everybody else probably in the district was a nightmare. We lost files over a year and 1.5 years. The community school has done very well revenue-wise. There is $225,000 increase in the revenues of the community school this year. A lot of new programs, higher participation rates are driving those revenues. $50,000 of which we have to remember is the increase in the public appropriation, which comes through the town in the form of a general fund subsidy. For the community school, we get $600,000 this year as compared to $550,000 last year. As you all know, the goal of this funding that comes from the town is to cover the medical insurance costs, which for the school are covered by the town in a separate account, but for the community school, they have to cover those costs, so that offsets the costs of medical insurance for the employees of the community school, as well as the employees who work in the admin part of the community school, which after conversations with the finance department, that's the goal of that appropriation that comes every year. And expenses have increased $106,000. That's anticipated as well, obviously, with higher programming revenue. You're hiring more coordinators, more staff. Staffing levels now are back to where they were prior to COVID finally, and there is a lot of programs running. So the community school has done very well throughout the first 3 quarters of the year. The school lunch program, currently the deficit stands at around $65,000, which is within the budgeted amount that we have to cover on our end, compared to only $1,413 last year. I believe this is based on the P&L that I get from Chartwell's at the end of each quarter. I believe that last year it was more of a timing of reimbursements from the state. They posted in the 3rd quarter as opposed to this year when they've posted in the 4th quarter, but they belong to the previous quarter. So I believe this is a timing difference. It's not so much that last year we were doing so well financially. It's just the timing of these reimbursements that come from the state and federal. Now, I was just at annual institute for MASBO, which is the Massachusetts Association of School Business Officials. Met last week, and there was a whole segment on school lunch. As you probably are aware, Massachusetts is one of 8 states now that has universal free lunch in perpetuity. My questions and a lot of the questions of the finance directors there were, how long will the state of Massachusetts continue to bridge the gap in the reimbursements? What I mean by that is right now we're being reimbursed at the free rate at $4.30 for lunch and $2.28 for breakfast. Because we are not in order for us to be a fully free school, free lunch, in the old order, which still exists, we would have had to have percentages above 80% free and reduced students. Ours hover in different schools, but they are between 37, 38 and 49, 50. So there is a gap in the reimbursement usually exists if you apply for universal for these reimbursement rates. That gap is being bridged by the state, and we hope this will continue in the future. Otherwise, it will leave a hole in our budget. I hope I'm not confusing everybody with this. It's a complex calculation that they make. Basically, what they do is, let's say your free and reduced across, on average, for the whole school is 60%. They multiply that by 1.6, which gets you to 60 and 96%. Is it 1.6 times 60? Am I?
Last was lunch.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's
so
the math guy.
you have to be at, I believe above 65% for you to be reimbursed at 100% rate, which we are right now. We are at on average for a district probably around 43%. So that gap is being bridged by the state, and we hope this will continue in the future. That was the whole conversation. It's been going on for about a year. The state has initially sent vague signals, but right now I believe they are committed. The Secretary of Education was there. He spoke about this situation, and they said they are committed to reimbursing at the full rate everybody across the Commonwealth. So that's where we are.
That's great. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for my confusing explanation.
That's all right. Just don't ask us any questions.
Do you have any questions?
Tim? No. Esmeralda?
No questions.
Laura?
No, thank you, Martin.
Your meticulous record keeping always amazes me, Martin, and it is always this time of year makes me smile when you're 3/4 of the way through, and you're, as you just said, this is the same as last year. It's like we have a massive budget, and it just, it should be this way, but it's great that it is this way, and it's commendable that it is this way. So
This has been a very tough year. I have to be honest. It's been very challenging budget-wise. Not so much on the payroll side, because we had everything budgeted for the payroll. The operating side, though, and I've spoken about this numerous times, I feel personally it's been somewhat neglected. So our goal going forward is to have more meetings and see whether we can budget appropriately because we have to heat the buildings, we have to pay utilities, repair and maintenance happens, HVAC. Systems, as you know, I've reported in the past, have been a huge budgetary expense for us. Thank God we don't have any more vandalism to report on or any damage due to that, or less, because that took probably $160,000 over 2 years of unnecessary repairs. And so, like I said, it's and obviously tuitions, we don't control that. If we
Right.
have a student, we have to cover the cost. So we've budgeted more in FY25. I believe we're in a much better place, but that's just being cautiously optimistic. We don't know.
right.
So
And we're very fortunate to have always the support of the town
yes.
and our community. So
No, town
we're
has
very
been
grateful.
amazing. It's my personal and Superintendent Hallett's relationship with Town Manager Libby Gibson and the Finance Director of the town has been great. It's a very open communication. We were talking right up until town meeting about budgetary stuff, about capital projects and everything. So they've been hugely supportive of us.
Thank you, Martin.
The other part that's part of the presentation is the end of year audit report. It's kind of strange that it's happening this late in the year, but I think the state gave an extension to the auditors and everybody to file the reports by the end of April. So that's why we're reporting it now. It's the 7th year in a row that we have no findings on our end of year report, which is great. What I mean by that is no technical findings. There is no misreporting, reporting errors, or any of those. But we do have for a 4th year in a row a finding about our accounting system. So basically our accounting system follows the accounting system of the town, but it doesn't follow the accounting system that Department of Education requires us to have. And there has been a clampdown on districts throughout the Commonwealth regarding the accounting system, and we are committed now to working with a company that Finance Director of the town, Brian Turbit, connected us with, and I'm awaiting response to schedule a meeting and see what it will take. This is a massive undertaking. I'm hopeful we can do that over the summer, but this is a huge because they have to design basically new account system for us, but at the same time the town has to have the capability to extract the reports they need from that accounting system according to their needs. So they have to talk to each other. So it's going to be a joint effort between town and school to see how we can achieve that, because I have a feeling that they're going to start penalizing us in a way if we continue to have that finding as part of our audit report. It also made its way into the management letter in the audit report for the whole town. So nobody's happy. Town manager is not happy, finance director is not happy, we are not happy, so we got to do it. We got to work on it. So that's the audit.
Oh, good. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would like to invite Michael Horton and Mary Lepre to come up for the Wellness Committee update, please.
Thank you. It's a good segue because a lot of this presentation actually has to do with school lunch. My name is Michael Horton, Cyrus Pierce Middle School principal, and I'm joined tonight by Mary Lepre, NES school nurse. About a year ago, we were asked by Dr. Hallett to co-chair the district wellness committee, and our main task was to update our school district wellness policy, which my understanding is that we're here tonight to propose this to the school committee. Then you have to take it to your policy subcommittee and review it, and then bring it back to an official vote in the future. So tonight is really us just proposing what we've come up with for the past year. Our committee was made up of all 4 building school nurses, the wellness teachers from all 4 buildings, and the school counselors from all 4 buildings. So Courtney and Julia Chumak were part of our group. So if you remember, I was here about a year ago to lay out our timeline. And Mary was the one who found a connection that the DSE actually provides free wellness coaching. And we reached out to the state. They didn't get back to us until the fall, I believe, because we actually didn't officially meet with our wellness coach, Charlotte, until February. Yeah. And at that time, we did a real deep dive in our current policy and went through, probably for a good hour, a rubric looking at each of the different parts and checking the box and scoring us in different areas. And then we got a big kind of summary of what we need to work on. A lot of the work went in place in March and April over April vacation. And then we met just recently after April break to review again with our wellness coach our updates. She said, this is great, but here you got to tweak this, you got to change this. So this is the document that we bring here tonight. Everything in red is what we're proposing as the new policy language, but everything in red is really the existing language updated. If you were to go through the full document and look through all the strike-throughs, it's like the ragu or prego, spaghetti sauce. It's in there, okay? So everything's reorganized to line up better with how the state assesses wellness policies. The first section is always nutrition education. The second section is always health education, then the school meals program, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of connections to USDA recommended standards in nutrition. There's a lot of links at the end, but the red part is really just reorganizing existing language. What I want to talk about tonight are the 3 sections in yellow, and those are the sections that the subcommittee is going to have to look at, and I suggest you reach out to each of the building principals, because we might have a slight difference of opinions on one of these topics, which I'm going to point out tonight. So,
Mike, can I just stop
Yeah,
you for a
sure.
sec? We don't have color copies, so could you just maybe...
Sure.
So we're not
I'll scroll
banging
down.
on
So,
that,
the top part was the same. I just added
Yep.
the word NPS. I'm not going to go through this line by line,
no,
but
just
all
where
the red
yellow is,
here,
yep. We can't see the yellow.
Okay, so I'll draw that attention to that. This is the item I'm going to come back to, because this yellow area is the most controversial, and it's not the first time that cupcakes and brownies have been discussed at school committee.
That's true.
What was interesting is we found out that the majority, and this is my connection to Martin's presentation tonight, the
Thank you.
majority of this document, keep in mind,
Yeah, thank you.
is about school lunch.
Okay.
The majority of this document, the boxes are met and checked through Linda Peterson and Chartwell's. Okay, they do the majority of the heavy lifting to make sure of everything that we serve from the midnight before until 30 minutes after the school day is in compliance with state and federal regulations. Okay, so Linda Peterson is a key member of this, and again, a lot of that hasn't changed. It's just been kind of moved around. Physical education program, it is general. As I've discovered, a lot of our policies are, and that makes sense to me, that things are general at the top, and then each building and each department gets into more of the specifics. I should point out that there is a separate group led by Sherry Lewis, who's working with the counselors and the wellness teachers about the new Massachusetts state wellness standards. They were in a comment period, I think mid-year this year over the winter, to the general public. They had not been updated. They were the last standards that have not been updated since 1999. A lot of things changed 2001 with No Child Left Behind and the MCAS, and then there was redos of math, and we've been here through 2006, 2009, 2011. Wellness didn't change in 25 years, okay? The information here is very, very general, just to make sure the numbers of compliance of how many minutes per week is what's stated in the school committee policy. But there's a whole separate committee that is working on the implementation of the updated new state wellness standards. And I just want to point that out because you'll discover as you get more and more into this, this is really about nutrition and school lunch, okay? Additional physical activity programs, health and safe environment. All this in yellow here, if you go down to social emotional learning, reason why this is highlighted in yellow is that this is a completely new section. Again, it just scratches the surface. Social emotional learning is not a new thing. It's a very important topic that administrators and teachers and health wellness teachers and nurses and school counselors work on a daily basis, especially post-pandemic, but a lot of this started pre-pandemic. This did not exist in our older wellness policy that hadn't been updated in a few years, which is why Dr. Hallett asked us to kind of co-chair the committee and bring us up to compliance for 2024. So this is one area you definitely want to scroll through and look, but there's plenty of further information about SEL through other documents within each building, and also led by Sherry Lewis, okay, our SEL coordinator, who's also leads our guidance department. Again, advertising the school property, that's pretty standard. No brand names, snacks and sodas and things like that. The second area to review is about annual compliance, about a School Wellness Advisory Committee, or SWAC. So anytime you see SWAC, the superintendent must establish this or designate it to someone else, which in this case, that's this year my function along with Mary's function. We have to meet 4 times per year. That hadn't been happening. We have to write an annual plan of what things are going well, not well, and that has to be posted on our school website to the public, okay? So just like Katie Bedell does all of your school committee minutes, we have to have a tab there which shows the wellness committee meetings and what we discussed, and then ever we do an evaluation of any of our programs, that has to be published to the public. That was one thing that was really missing in our old policy. This is just about implementation, and then a lot of really great links that, if you want this document to be, 130 pages long, we could put it all in there, but that's not the point of our school committee policy manuals. A lot of this you can link to for some of the requirements. So I talked about 2 and 3. Going back, 2. No food items can be brought into the classroom for distribution through the class. So the big rule law, CMR, is that schools cannot sell or serve. And this is where we have lots of conversations. if a parent brings in cupcakes to a second grade classroom and the teacher distributes them, we are in effect serving those items to our students. That is a no-no, okay? There are certain limits. There's no caffeine. There's definitely, I'm not exactly sure if it's 0 grams, 1 gram, 10 gram, but there's limits on sugar, okay? So definitely like soda is out the window. This is going to be a gradual impact on a lot of our schools. Me personally, a year ago, I was drinking a lot of Coca-Cola. I've had to stop doing that at CPS to lead by example. I will admit that today I gave a student, actually one of the stars from our CPS musical, a bag of Cheetos. I really shouldn't be doing that. You really can't give out those brand things. So there's still going to be little things where those rules are stretched and broken, but the gross negligence, we have to be careful of distributing items that are not fitting what's called smart snacks. And I encourage you to look at that. What I learned, though, is the 30-minute rule, which reminded, oh my God, that's right. I remember when we used to have the vending machines, they were on a timer, and they were off until 2:50. And at 2:50, they went on, and kids could go and buy whatever they wanted to, because you can't do any of the, the nice sweet treats from the midnight of the school day. So the moment that the day begins, so at midnight, up until 30 minutes after school dismissal. So if school ends at 2:20, at 2:50, all bets are off, which is why we're protected for fundraisers and the shack and the football field, because that's on school property, okay? So that's how that works itself out. This whole document is adapted from Franklin Public Schools. We've done that in the past. I believe our bullying policy is adapted from Framingham. This language here is what most districts have in place, because they simply say we don't want to take on any liability at all of what parents are bringing into the classroom, because you simply don't know what's in the item. You simply don't know what someone might bake into cupcakes or brownies. The allergies for students is significant, and it's a school safety issue. These are the rules and the laws. We may not like them, but we need to gradually work towards, and at CPS, I can assure you, Adrian and I, this past year, we've cut out a lot of the candy bars, and you can notice, like on the floors, we don't have the Snicker bar wrappers, we don't have the lollipops, kids aren't selling them. We've had to just enforce those rules that we're putting into our school handbooks, okay? The discussion here that your subcommittee needs to look at, is it no food items, or is it just certain treats, okay? And let me clarify, because this happens at CPS a lot, and I'm sure it happens at the high school. If a parent buys a kid a lunch from 45 Surfside, and they leave it in the front office for that one kid, we're not serving that item. We're not selling that item, we're not serving that item. That's between the parent and the kid. And that kid is trusting that the parent is giving them something that they're not allergic to, and it's not laced with anything. But the blanket trays of things, I had to shut down a cake in the CPS CAF a few weeks ago because it was just anarchy. We have to enforce healthy eating during the school day. So the language is we cannot sell, we cannot serve. And that word serve is what is important here in this language. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah. We're not trying to be the sugar police, but I will tell you a couple of things. One, we have a huge obesity issue in the US in general, in children, and if you have 20 kids in a class, that's 20 cupcakes, because we get trays of cupcakes at NES, and I think NIS is getting some of this too. And so I really think that also with the allergies, I mean, we had a issue where cupcakes were brought in and given to students and there was an allergy. Things like that have happened a couple times since I've been here. So I think that I actually heard from a parent today about something that one of the first grade teachers does, is when it's your birthday, you get to choose an activity. Like, you can say, we're gonna have no shoes in the classroom day, and kids, she writes all of the parents, it was Laura O'Banion, I'll give credit to her, but one of the parents told me that she'll say, like, no shoes in the classroom, so like she'll message all the parents and kids will bring in their slippers, and Or one kid, they wanted to make tents, so they made tents and read under their tents. Another idea I think that would be good is, because I don't love like stickers and pencils, the idea of not every parent's going to want to spend all of this money on all of these little things or start coming in with bags of stuff, is like donate a favorite book. And you know, there's also the bookmobile. If there's a student that isn't able to buy a book or something, then that's available. Or, you know, there's ways to help with that. And I just think this is not help. We're giving kids, and it's at the end of the day, so you're giving them sugar and like sending them off. And you know, our students don't get the recommended 60 minutes of physical activity every single day as it is. I would love to see more recess, especially in the younger grades. I think that it not only helps with our social emotional stuff, but they need to move around. So maybe a kid says they want extra recess, and that's what that class gets to do. But I really think we need to start thinking outside of the box and less cakes and cupcakes and cookies. I mean, and I am at fault. Like, I brought in cookies last year for my son's birthday and pizza this year because that's what he wanted. But I do think there's better ways to do it, so I'm not the best example. But I do think we really need to think about the health of our students, and we don't want them having type 2 diabetes because they're obese in high school, because that may happen, but like, what can we do to make, you know, we're doing all of this nutrition education from first grade, I think, or kindergarten on. Like, what can we do to really encourage them to make healthy choices and not allowing these, I think. Now, you are going to get a lot of pushback about this. So, that's my thought.
Just to sum up, our policy was very solid. Okay, there's just 3 areas to look at. We need to be transparent in posting things to the public. That should be very simple through Katie Bedell. We added the SEL language because it wasn't in there, and we all thought it should be in there. And then this item here, and it's simple that we cannot sell or serve sweets during the school hours. At 2:50, all bets are off. Okay, so that's the 30-minute rule. Okay, but those are the rules that we're expected to comply. Last 2 things is that I guess we're recognized somehow with our work, or they liked working with us so much that we were invited to a wellness conference that happened today. Many of us couldn't go because, just like we were talking about, the high school had MCAS, we had science MCAS today. But Bo Almodovar, who teaches 8th grade wellness, a lot of his students happened to be taking grade 8 science today. So Bo went to Norwood to represent our committee today, and I got a really cool picture. I wish I could just cast it to the screen. I'll share it with you later. But we received an award, okay? No treats or sugar or anything, but like a plaque, okay, for our update of our wellness policy. And I thought that was pretty cool. Originally, the school committee had, and this is the last item, I promise, is you had policy ADF, and you had policy ADF R&P. ADF R&P is rules and procedures of ADF. Most districts have just merged these together, which is what we did to make it simple. That everything, the rules and procedures are within this document. And again, it was pretty solid. It's just updating that, 2024 language, coming into compliance. And I give a lot of credit. Linda Pearson keeps an eye on these things. It's like her responsibility to make sure that we're meeting all the USD regulations and standards for all that food that we used to sell, but we still serve. Questions?
Thank you. Tim.
I've got a question. We're talking about wellness, and you brought up recess. And it seems that we're getting our kids more and more screen time, and I know Meredith has some thoughts about that.
I can pull it up.
I do, and I'm hoping in the fall to maybe present you guys with some of my data. But what I am seeing in the school is a significant increase in children failing their vision exams. Like the current first grade, when they were in kindergarten, 35 of them failed. So I now I screen them, and then I wait a couple weeks, and then I screen them again. And if they still fail, then I send a letter home. So, and this year I remind message the parents because it's very hard to get into ACI. So I am seeing a significant increase. I would say, I've sent home a lot of letters, maybe probably over 80 letters this year in just K1 and 2. And almost every single student has been given glasses. And there is a significant research showing the state changed their screening stuff, saying that all of this increased screen time is changing the shape of their eye and increasing their risk of having a detached retina earlier in life, because staring at a screen and an iPad or a phone or whatever is worse because it's closer to your eye than staring. But all of our classrooms have smart boards that they are staring at all day long. Maybe not as close, but so I do think this is not only that they're spending, and they're not spending, I don't think, hours on the screen. I think a lot of kids spend more time when they go home. But I think whatever we can do, especially at the younger ages, to decrease their screen time and increase their activity is really what is maybe best for the kids. And I'm sure there are technology requirements from the state as far as education, but I really think we need to do what we can to get them moving more, and being outside looking around is actually better for your eyes and allows the muscles to relax and not be as elongated as much. So the research that they came out with 2 years ago, we had to take a whole new class on how to screen because they changed it, and I found so many more kids. Like, it is quite shocking to me. So, but I don't have all that data yet. I will have it.
Thank you, Mary.
So the
Yes.
recommended schools provide at least 20 minutes of active daily recess to all elementary students. That's K to 5. That was the existing policy we've had in the past. We rolled that forward because that is the minimum requirement. We exceed that, as far as I know. Just back me up. K to 5 is 30 minutes of recess each day. I can share that at the middle school in grades 6 and 7, we have about 15 minutes. Students have a little break area, and I took some kids out to throw a baseball around today out on the field because it was the first nice day in a while. But that's the minimum, is 20 minutes per day, K to 5, which we exceed at 30 at the moment.
National recommendation is 60 minutes for kids to be outside playing.
In a week.
No, a day. 60 minutes a day, they say, is what kids should be doing. The NFL has a whole, like, program. I see it when I watch
Play
football
360.
games of play for 60, and
360.
yeah, it's for kids to be playing outside for 60 minutes every day.
Thank you.
Did anyone else?
Esmeralda,
I
question?
don't have any questions, but I'd love to see the data once you get it.
Yeah. I have a
Laura?
spreadsheet I can share with you guys, but I have some projects.
Yeah, I would be interested in that too. That is an incredibly disturbing statistic about the vision testing. And I could not agree more with the outside recommendation. Is it 30 minutes total? Is that broken up throughout the day for K through 5? Or is it like they do 15 minutes and then 15 minutes?
They get 30 minutes. once a day.
A whole chunk of
row,
that.
yeah.
Okay. I would love to see that increased at all the way up to high school. I think it's important, and I mean, I think everybody knows how I feel about the cupcakes, so I will withhold my comments.
Yeah, this information is heartbreaking as well as very informative. So thank you for
Yeah.
digging deep, and thank you for sharing it. We have to do something better. We have to do something different, for sure. Not that this is going to sound like, okay, if we're doing the screens and we see this, but there is a fund on Nantucket. If you're not aware, I will share with you later. I don't want to say publicly, that will fund vision screening and glasses for families who don't have insurance, and they have in the past. It's any it's any school age student.
And as far as the, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, we can chat offline, but
Oh,
yeah, that's,
the screen time, they're not, I think they're on, like, at least in my school, like 45 minutes once a week. They do Imagine Learning, but it's just like we don't have chalkboards or dry erase boards. We have smart boards, which I get are useful, but are just giant iPads essentially. And we don't. I think kids that also go home and use screens, and all of the testing that they do is on a screen.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about like over a week or over a month or over the year, how much time are they spending on a screen at school? I'm old school. I would love to just bring back textbooks and like decrease the screen time just because I really want to prevent damage to kids' eyes.
But I think this is a whole nother conversation too on
Yeah.
social media and internet access for students. And I think what we learn, it's really important for us to educate our families and parents, because you see kids as young as 3 months, 5 months. If they can hold a phone, they're holding a phone just so that they can be pacified. And if we don't know the harm that that's doing to our children's brains and sight, vision, then if we know that, we must share this information with families. And I think, just from talking to young adults, and I've said this before, they are beginning to share that their experience of having an iPad or a phone, it's internet access at an early age, that they are open to seeing everything and anything. And I truly believe that that has something to do with the increase in anxiety and self-harm and depression that we're seeing in our young adults. So we need to do better. And I think in 20 or 30 years it will come out that we really messed up. But we got to do something before then. So thank you both.
Any other
If I,
questions?
if I may through the chair,
Yes.
we, the subcommittee can certainly review in detail this policy, but we would be presenting the same thing to you. So I'm wondering if we want to spend a moment to discuss now, because I do not know if we're going to be, if we need to, I certainly would take
Yeah.
your recommendation on this, but there isn't much that we're going to do unless we are going to make adjustments to anything in particular and recommend it to the school committee.
Well, Chantal is the other
She is,
member,
yeah.
so I would feel more comfortable if we did in fact meet.
Okay.
And I have had some parents reach out to me for other items that are embedded in here. So I feel that I need to have a larger conversation.
That's fine. That's fine. I
Thank
just wanted
you.
to suggest that if that was something you wanted to do.
Well, I ask as a principal, if you do tend to increase or change the number of minutes or something, is you just connect with the admin teams, because there's other implications of staffing. It might change someone's playing time or availability, contractual concerns as well. So that's all I ask, is that if you do some of those adjustments to subcommittee, just please get the input from the 4 principals as well. I can give you this colored copy version, that might help.
Oh, that'd be
Pauline.
great. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
If I may, through the chair, I'm not anticipating, doing something like, which would affect the schedule and all
Yeah.
of those sorts of things. But it's just other things that are within this that I'm really more focused on. Less about that, that minute. And I think when Mary presents next year, that might be something that we talk about. But
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you both. Moving on to votes of the committee. May I have an approval to accept the April 23rd school committee workshop minutes?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval for the donation from Nantucket Education Trust to the Nantucket Intermediate School Grade 5 field trip to Camp Bornedale for $6,000?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval for the grant for Project Lead the Way to CPS for $9,750?
So move.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval, please, for the grant from Project Lead the Way for Nantucket High School for $18,900?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. May I have an approval for the MPS crisis protocol for the loss of a student or staff member?
So moved.
May I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And may I have an approval for the transfer and invoices?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, subcommittee work, work groups.
Negotiations are moving ahead with the Buildings and Grounds folk. And so we've set up some framework and we're moving ahead.
That's great news.
We're optimistic.
Great. It's always good to be. Any other?
I don't have any updates. We are meeting, I believe, tomorrow.
I'm not sure since our other school committee member is not well, so
Oh, okay.
we may be postponing. I
Oh.
did not receive any word from her in my request, but
Okay.
we can certainly reschedule.
Got
Contact
it.
with her. Yes.
I have 2 upcoming meetings. I have a Cape Cod Collaborative meeting tomorrow evening, and we have a Nantucket Education Trust meeting on Thursday. So I'll report out next school
Right.
committee meeting.
Thank you. We don't have our student council,
No,
I
we-
mean, student rep tonight.
No, we do not, and if I may, I do hope that we can get her here at our next meeting, because it would be her last.
It would be
so
her
I wanna
last.
make sure that we let her know that we want to celebrate her. So.
Before we go into the agenda, I just want to recognize the passing of our fellow school committee member, Steve Sordovec. He had been at CPS for many years as a history teacher, social studies. Once he retired, he joined us as a school committee member, and very saddened to get the news of his passing. And he was always able to bring lively conversation, and I don't think that there's been anybody that could match his enthusiasm and passion for doing what's right for kids. So he will be sorely missed.
Thank you.
Moving on for the agenda for next meeting, which is June 4th. In front of you, you see the enrollment, recruitment, hiring update from Dr. Hallett, the appointment of our clerk. Yep.
Yes.
Year-end utilities usage, which I'm assuming will come from Martin. Facilities update will come from Chip. And annual tech, which will most likely come from Joanne. Yep. Okay. And then NET update. So that's from the meeting, or is that
It-
something separate?
It is possible that we will have some representatives from NET to share just a few things around what's been going on, and just to share out also in the community how to reach them and what opportunities there are available through grants.
That's great.
and things. So, yes, hopefully, it's a very full agenda, so we will do our best to try to keep things within a certain amount of time. It's quite large, so we'll do our best.
That's right. And we'll have to wait until the end of the day today to decide on a meeting
Yes,
to regroup, right?
we will need to do a reorganization meeting based on what is going on with our elections.
So will you reach out to us at
I
that after
absolutely
that?
will,
Okay,
yes.
great. Well, it's been an honor to be the chair for this season, so thank you.
Yes.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Good night, everybody.